I am here to do another question and answer. These have been so awesome every week. Just getting to hear some of your, comments and things you're going through, and then also answer your questions and hopefully help some people. So I'm going to go ahead and log into Instagram Live on this other phone, but I'm really wanting people to hop on YouTube. So I have one person. Hello, welcome. I'm here to answer any questions that you might have and just get into some good topics. All right. So I am live on Instagram and YouTube. Hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. Tyler and I went for a really long walk yesterday with Moose and Bear. And Bear is in training. Good morning. So that was hard for Tyler, but it was really fun. Good morning. So I'm here to answer any questions. So while I'm waiting for you guys to ask questions, thank you for being here. Thank you so much. What's up, Lauren? I'm going to answer a question that someone asked me to talk about because they missed this live last week. So someone asked me how to heal the liver. The number one way I think you should focus on in terms of healing your liver is supporting your body at a systemic level. And this is something that I say a lot, and it's not just putting some words together that sound cool. It has a really, really good meaning behind it, and it means supporting your body at a systemic level, which involves your hormones, your immune system, and your central nervous system. And when you achieve this, you will detoxify properly and your internal organs will heal. So that's number one. I think that is such a better approach than taking a bunch of detox herbs or any type of detox protocol that involves a bunch of supplements and herbs and stuff. That can be beneficial. I think less is more, and I think what's more important is, again, supporting your body at a systemic level. So to do that for your liver, you've got to fix hyperinsulinemia. So if you have carb addiction, sugar addiction, if you have fatty liver or anything like that, the number one thing you need to do is lower your insulin. So definitely I would highly recommend a low carb or zero carb diet while healing, and be wise about how you're doing that. Be sure that you're getting enough fat. Fat plays a big role into detoxification. And then you could possibly consider taking things that help support your liver. I personally really like dandelion. Dandelion helps to stimulate your liver to produce bile. It's generally lower oxalate, and it's just a good, easy thing you could get for your liver in tea. You could get dandelion tea. But again, number one is going to be supporting your body with proper sleep, proper nutrition, and behaviors. And that really is the key. I was very, very sick. My liver enzymes, kidney enzymes were very elevated. My hormones were in the tank, and what I needed to do was support my body at a systemic level. Your body was created to thrive. So just remember that your body wants to heal. And I have my first question on Instagram. Feel free to ask questions on YouTube. Feel free to join me on my YouTube channel, and I will post these on both channels. Good morning, Randy. Where is that question? Thoughts on OMAD for weight loss with strength training? I think it's a good idea. So OMAD stands for 1 meal a day. Any type of intermittent fasting is beneficial even for people who are underweight, because it's really going to allow your body to get into that low insulin state where we get a lot of benefits. We get autophagy, we get a lot of healing with lower insulin, gut healing as well. Now, with 1 meal a day, I do not recommend doing it until you feel very, very stable. If you have hormonal issues, if you have thyroid issues, if you're not sleeping well at night, if you have digestion issues, I wouldn't recommend getting into 1 meal a day. If all of that is a check in the box and you're super stable, go for it. Be sure that you're getting all of your protein every day in that one meal. It's very important that you do that. And then also, I think it's very important for you to actually track what you're eating in that 1 meal a day, because two things can happen. you're fasting so long that you're literally ravenous and you're overeating in that one meal versus what you would have had in 3 meals or 2 meals. Or the other thing that can happen is that you can't eat enough and you end up under eating and losing muscle, which is, it sucks. It's not a good thing. So you want to be sure you're getting all your protein and be accountable to how much you're eating. If you're very healthy, you can get away with high protein, lower calories, being a caloric deficit. But I think it's so much wiser to do it in a structured way so that you're not staying in a caloric deficit for an extended period of time, which will eventually cause your body to downregulate and adapt. Your body will adapt. So I think it's really important to mix it up with maybe, on the weekends do 2 meals or 3 meals so that you are not letting your body adapt to that lower caloric deficit. So that's my answer. Let's see. I'm thinking going for a full week. I mean, I gained half of my weight doing 1 meal a day. I got up to 104, got my period back, started OMAD when COVID happened, and I continued to gain weight, healthy weight, including muscle. Nothing bad happened to me. I just switched it up because I felt like I needed to. I think I got a question here. Okay. I've been carnivore a couple weeks now, 28-year-old female, 116 pounds, 5'7". I'm trying to incorporate fasting, but get nauseous, hungry, going to bed and waking up. What is this? I've tried butter. So if you're 5'7" and 116 pounds, I think you need to gain weight. That is underweight in my opinion. I'm 5'6", and once I get down to 125, I know that's the danger zone. So I don't think you should be fasting as much as you are. Now, if you're just talking about 16/8, like in intermittent fasting, the issue could be that you're not fat adapted and you've got to give yourself grace. Keep doing the butter, keep doing extra fat. Basically, you don't have a lot of extra body fat on your body, and your body doesn't like feeling like it's low in fuel, which is understandable. So keep adding extra fat, and then if you have not fully transitioned to low carb, or if you're not fat adapted, that's what needs to happen. But again, give yourself grace and eat pure fat outside of that eating window. And that's not going to give you the insulin response that carbs or protein would. So that is a good way to mimic fasting without putting your body into a state of fight-flight mode. But at 116 pounds, 5'7", that, in my personal opinion, is too light. Your body wants more fat on its body and dietarily. I guarantee if you got up to 125, 130, healthy 125, 130, that might sound scary because that's like 15 pounds heavier. I guarantee fasting would be much easier as long as you are doing the low carb, eating enough fat in your diet. That's the only reason that I could think of. I'm going to hop back and forth because I'm getting questions, which is awesome. I'm currently on a 4-day water fast. Have you ever done an extended water fast for healing? I used to do a ton of extended fasts, and I will say there's a right time and a wrong time to do it. It came to the point where I was losing too much weight that I couldn't allow myself to do it, but it was the only way that I found relief. But when I broke the fast, I found that it was more difficult to digest food than it was before I did the fast. So it really wasn't helping me. And then when I got back into extended fasting, the last time I did, I was doing rolling 48 to 72 hour fasts and then refeeding. And I lost, I want to say I lost 1 pound of fat and I gained 4 pounds of muscle. I did that for like a month and a half. But that's a lot of fasting. So I did that as an experiment. I like to do a quarterly 48 to 70 hour fast. After 70 hours, my body is not letting me sleep. It's really hungry. And so I honor that. I do think it's a good way to do a reset and practice detachment. So just be sure that you're in the right mindset and in the right place. But I think there are so many benefits to that, spiritually, mentally, physically. Rebecca, what do you think could cause my ferritin, bun, urea, creatinine, and cholesterol sky high after 8 months lion diet? I'm very lean and petite woman and been eating about 2 pounds lamb and beef. So your cholesterol will go up because you're eating more fat. And if you're also burning your own body fat, which I believe you are because you're very lean, that is also going to cause your cholesterol to go up. When you eat fat or burn your own body fat, those fats, those lipids, are released into your bloodstream to be oxidized, and that shows up in your blood work. So that's why your cholesterol would be high. As for your bun, urea, ferritin, I think most of that probably has to do with how much protein you're eating. I would recommend maybe adding more fat and also paying attention to how you feel. So if you're 8 months into this, you might wait until 1 year and see if some of those levels come down. I would need to know so much more about you to make any more recommendations or to speak on that. I love this way of eating, makes me better in many ways, but worried of my kidneys and these stuff now so much. I'm scared. Yeah, people will say things that will scare you, just like the whole erythritol thing. You know, the person who said the thing about erythritol causing heart attacks is the same person that said that red meat causes heart attacks. So there's always going to be someone saying something bad about what you're doing, and I would encourage you to actually pull up real studies on the internet, because there is 0 studies that speak to protein harming the kidneys. 0. But there are studies that prove that it helps to tonify the kidneys. So when I went higher protein, my kidney enzymes went up, and my rheumatologist at the time said, just keep doing what you're doing because I know you're eating only meat. Sure enough, it leveled out. My kidneys adapted. They were tonified. They became stronger and more efficient. So I really wouldn't be concerned about it. Listen to how you feel. I mean, you said I love this way of eating, makes me better in many ways. You need to listen to how you feel and understand that a lot of the lab values that traditional doctors are looking for are based off of someone eating a standard American diet. So what's optimal for you might look very different. I'm gonna keep hopping back and forth. Okay, so the person that asked about fasting said she's trying to gain weight. So I think that's excellent. I would try to do 16-8, 16 hours of fasting at night and 8 hours of eating. So you could eat your first meal at 10, finish your last meal at 6 or 7-ish, and then outside of those eating windows, eat some pure fat. But if you start getting hungry right when you wake up, listen to that hunger, honor that hunger. That is leptin, that's healing. So if you're trying to gain weight, that's excellent. Listen to your body and don't be too hard on yourself about fasting. As long as you're getting 14 hours, I still think that's really, really awesome. Is lamb and seafood sustainable carnivore? I react to most ruminants and fat too. Absolutely. I think lamb and seafood are the best of the best. You're going to be getting extra stearic acid. You're going to be getting lots of omega-3s. You're going to be getting your minerals from the seafood. I think that's optimal. Is it necessary to leave a moldy environment before you can heal on carnivore? Have you watched Michaela Peterson's interview with Nutrition with Judy? Yes. Yes, and SIRS is something that's been going on for a long time. My client and good friend Helen has been dealing with SIRS, and she knows a lot about it and firsthand, and she's going to be sharing about it. So we're going to go live this Saturday at 12:30, and if you guys want to talk about it, that would be a good time. So yes, I am familiar with the interview. I've watched parts of it, and I do believe that you need to leave the moldy environment to heal. Yes, absolutely. Or get it remediated. I have a similar question to do with intestinal parasites. How would we lower those on a carnivore diet? If you really have parasites, if you have actual worms coming out of you, real parasites, because I say that because a lot of people think they have parasites, and I don't think it's really parasites. If you do, then I would do some oregano oil and it should come right out, typically. Strongly considering low carb for my severely autistic child. Which would you recommend, keto or carnivore? He is also nonverbal and experiences sensory issues. I love this question. Thank you for asking. 100% carnivore, because I did keto for 15 years and I was eating so many high oxalate foods like baby spinach, avocado, turmeric, sweet potato every now and then. Those are all really high oxalate. Black pepper. Oxalate is very strongly linked with autism. So I would 100% go carnivore, because that is going to be removing the anti-nutrients. I believe anti-nutrients have more to do with autism than carbs themselves. Now, I do think low carb is a good option to It's going to relieve inflammation to the brain. It definitely increases focus with those ketones, but I would totally go carnivore if you are dealing with autism. I wish you the very best. And by the way, I've worked with a lot of little kids. I've worked with kids who couldn't even talk. I've worked with kids, 7-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds, and they all do awesome on carnivore, as long as you have some variety. You know, like my custard, you can do carnivore brownies, carnivore ice cream. Those things are huge, and it's a hit. Kids like good food. They like the real stuff if they haven't been filled with junk food. But totally carnivore. I've been back on keto 2.5 years, lost 60 pounds, gained 20 back, and now I'm trying to get back down to what I lost originally. Awesome. Give yourself time and keep up the strength training. I like Prime Protein, but would you recommend Isopure as it is so much less money? I don't really know anything about Isopure. I like Prime Protein because it has 3 ingredients and it's delicious. If Isopure is a beef protein isolate and it has 3 ingredients or less, yes, I would recommend it. Okay. Thank you for joining. How to prevent heart palpitations when starting back on keto. Bump up your electrolytes and bump up your fat. And make sure you're eating enough. And Helen said that you can reach out to her personally about SIRS. So her Instagram handle is cured.eated, E-A-T-E-D. She's awesome. She has great content. She just started pushing out a newsletter. I couldn't say enough good things. She's possibly the most intelligent client I've ever worked with and one of the most intelligent people I've ever known, but she also has a huge heart and she's awesome. So feel free to reach out to her. Thank you, Helen. Hey, Ashley. Yes, I just left my moldy home. It was the hardest choice, but necessary. Very sick teen, and I was getting sick. I cannot even imagine how difficult that would be. You know, my dad recently, so Tyler and I had mold in our shower, and we had to do a lot of things to take care of it. And I talked to my parents about it. My dad was like, yeah, we had mold in one of our homes, and we all got really sick, and we had to live in a hotel. I didn't even remember that. But I'm grateful that my parents recognized we have to get out of here. And I don't even know what we did, but it's really, really important. I have a client who keeps coming to mind about this mold thing. We worked together for a whole year, and we did so many things together, and he just had to get out of his home because it was moldy. But in the end, I mean, he was a different person, and he got involved in a church, and it was like one of the most incredible transformations I've ever been a part of. But that mold and getting out of his home was a big deal. And, you know, it took a while to happen, but take steps to get out of that environment or take care of it. Okay. All right. So I've answered all the questions so far. Just waiting for people to ask more questions. So, this morning I was sharing to my Instagram story that the spring retreat is filling up. I always get nervous that I'm not going to book it fully because I have to buy the property before I have anyone book it, which is a lot of money. These properties are huge. And I always have to pray about it and just ask God, like, is this what you want me to do? So, but it is filling up. And so if you're interested in joining, please feel free to email me at Rebecca, REBEKAH, at tailoredketo.health. And I'll send you the info. It's going to be incredible. Someone asked me to repeat Helen's contact information. It is cured.eated. And that's her Instagram handle. All right. Any other questions? Probably going to go until 10:45, so we have about 10 minutes. I'll just keep talking about... Oh, here we go. I got a question. I've been on lion diet, but now I crave other animals like poultry, seafoods. But where I live, the sea is so polluted Oh man, and I can't get any soy corn-free poultry. I hear Judy say eat animal rainbow, but wonder. I don't really think you need to eat the animal rainbow as long as you're eating organs. So she says that, and I think there is some truth to it. I mean, you definitely get a more well-rounded approach with more minerals, and different proteins have different levels of nutrients and vitamins. But if you're taking something like a liver multivitamin every day, like I take a hunk of frozen raw liver about this big every day. That's my multivitamin. So I don't really worry about getting all that other variety. And if you can't get seafood, you said the sea is dirty or polluted, I would recommend getting something like trace minerals. So for me, I just don't crave seafood like I used to. I used to eat shrimp every day, and now my husband and I both just are so sick of it, unfortunately. So I just take trace minerals. Aussie trace minerals. It's cheaper than buying a cup of coffee every day. They taste really good, super hydrating, and it's just going to keep you on top of your mineral needs. My discount code is tailored10 for Aussie trace minerals, and they're awesome. So that's what I would recommend, is doing some type of mineral supplement, just to be sure you're getting your minerals. And I also like to say that God always provides for what we need. So I work with people all around the world. There are some people who can't get lamb. There are some people who can't even get beef. But God always provides for what we need. So don't live in a place of fear or worry because someone said you should be eating more poultry and seafood, but focus on, okay, I'm cutting out all this junk food and I'm filling up on the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. My first year of healing, I ate only I ate only meat, salt, and water, but that meat was lamb and goat. I didn't touch beef. I barely touched beef. And I did fine. And I rarely eat pork or chicken, by the way. Helen said, Apsey Farms has corn and soy-free pork and chicken. I think this person is overseas, so I'm not sure if Apsey Farms would be an option. But I believe Helen has a code for Apsey Farms. Helen, let us know what your code is so I can share it. Happy Monday. What are your thoughts on Keto Chow minerals? So I've tried them and I didn't really like them because I felt like I kept getting symptoms. Like I would get heart palpitations. I would just feel off. But I don't want to diss them. I know a lot of people in the space that use them and they like them. So I could have had electrolyte imbalances, and that's why it didn't go well for me. I personally really like the Aussie trace minerals, and I also really happen to love the owner of that company, Jay. He's awesome. But I'm not against Keto Chow. I just personally like Aussie trace minerals. Helen's discount code for Apsey Farms, who have soy-free pork and chicken, her discount code is Helen10. Thank you, Helen. Awesome. Is stevia safe or it causes insulin resistance? If you are chewing sugar-free gum and drinking Zevia all day long, that could contribute to insulin resistance because those sweet-tasting things cause a cephalic insulin response. But if you are eating a little bit of carnivore brownie after a full day of eating savory meat, no, it's not going to cause insulin resistance. Oh, wow. So Apsey Farms has grass-fed Wagyu too, Helen says. What temperature and how long do you cook your bones to be able to eat them? I cook them for 3.5 to 4 hours if I want to eat the bones, and I pressure cook it on high. Easiest to digest meats or cuts of meats when it comes to heartburn. Your heartburn has nothing to do with meat. It has to do with the environment of your gut, and it's not acidic enough. So if you're still eating carbs or sugar, cut it out, because that will make your stomach environment more alkaline and more difficult to digest meat. Meat in general is not the problem. Now, in terms of digesting meat, I think that pressure cooked meats would be better than like a steak, or even ground meat, but then that comes with the risk of histamine if you have any type of histamine intolerance. All right. Any other questions? I'll be here for about 5 more minutes. Do you think the usual 2-pound meat could be too much for a woman? Also, what's your thoughts on apple cider vinegar for digestion and low stomach acid? I personally really like apple cider vinegar. It's a good source of potassium, but if you have histamine issues, then I wouldn't do it because it contains histamine. So I think it's a good idea unless you have histamine intolerance. And then as far as the usual 2-pound meat, I don't know why that's usual. I don't know who made the recommendation of you should have about 2 pounds of meat if you're a woman. I don't think that's appropriate because a pound of lamb is way more fat and less protein than a pound of 85% ground beef. So what I can recommend is, I personally think 1 gram of protein per pound of desired body weight and higher fat than protein is very appropriate. And depending on your needs, depending on your hormones, how much extra body fat you have, that's where you'll want to scale your fat. Do you recommend bile salts? No, I don't. I don't think there's any need for them. No. I've ordered the vanilla equip protein powder, but still slightly concerned about the stevia. How you found the claims about endocrine disruption to be untrue? Stevia can be an endocrine disruptor. It absolutely can. It can actually be a contraceptive if taken in ridiculous quantities. Just look up the studies. I use stevia to get through the C. diff. It's antifungal. So it actually can help clear your gut of bad things. These studies are based on very specific situations. So if you're someone who already doesn't sleep at night and your thyroid is jacked up and you're already concerned about your endocrine system, stevia is probably something you want to stay away from. But if you're a general person who's doing well on a carnivore diet and you enjoy some carnivore desserts with stevia, you're probably fine. Ken Berry, Maria Emmerich, and Benjamin Bickman are all people that I look up to, I trust, and they all made videos on this stevia thing. I would check out those videos. What does a day of eating look like for you? Well, today I am making 2 goat shanks in my pressure cooker, cooking it on high for 4 hours so I can eat the bones and everything in it. And I will be having, what else am I having today? I made a loaf of egg white bread, and I kind of like swirled in some of the chocolate equip foods prime protein powder, so it's like sweet and it has some chocolate in it. I'm gonna have that, and then I'm also maybe gonna have a couple eggs. If I have sauerkraut, I usually eat it. I really like sauerkraut, just a couple tablespoons. And I'll probably have some type of prime protein ice cream or carnivore brownies also. That's what today looks like. What type of bones do you eat? Beef, pork, etc. I eat Billy Doe Meats. Billy Doe Meats is my #1 favorite company, and their goat, lamb, and veal bones in the bone-in stew meat and the shanks are my favorite. The bones taste so good. You can tell it's a healthy animal when the bones taste good. So Billy Doe Meats, my discount code is tailored. And I don't eat pork or chicken. Thank you for the compliments. I appreciate it. Can I know your opinion on things like sauerkraut and pickles and these stuff? Well, I make my own pickles. I actually made some yesterday. It's just, you get the pickle cucumbers, the short ones, cut them up. You put it in a glass container with white vinegar, dill, a couple of crushed cloves of garlic, and some type of sweetener. So I use allulose or alcohol-free plain stevia, just a little bit. And that's homemade pickles. Sauerkraut is awesome. I like it for variety. I'm not doing it to heal my gut or improve my microbiome. I will say that my digestion is a smidge better when I eat sauerkraut regularly, but I don't have poor digestion. But with both of them, anything that's fermented, it's higher in histamine, and it can also feed bad bacteria. So if you have a candida thing that you're working through, I would not recommend those things because it can feed the bad bacteria. I got the idea of eating bones from you. The goat bones are just perfect. I love bones. Helen, who I've been talking about, she loves bones, I think, as much as I do. And she's very savage. But we just crave the bones. The bones and the collagen are where it's at. I don't know why not everyone is eating bones. It's crazy because they're delicious. Is Billy Doe mostly grass-fed? Mostly. Their beef is grain-finished, but I've never had issues with it. And the lamb, I believe, is 100% grass-fed, but you can confirm with them. So they get all of their meat from select farmers. All of it is halal, so it's holistically raised, and it's, when you cook the meat, you know it's high quality because of what you get. I mean, the amount of collagen and how the bones taste, you know it was a healthy, happy animal. Helen says knuckle bones are the best. Yeah, I really like the shank bones at the end where it's like this. I love that part. It's so good. All right. Well, I think that is it. I will wrap up. Thank you so much for joining me. Please be sure to join Helen and I on Saturday. I'm glad I got to talk about it. So Saturday at 12:30 Central Standard Time. If you have questions for her, you can shoot me a message, and I'll be posting it to my story as well. But I hope that you guys will join us, and I'll just give her the floor to answer your questions because she has tons of knowledge, and she has a really good way of explaining things so that regular people can understand. Oh, someone has a quick question. Yes, I'll wait for your question. Is the only way to eat bones pressure cooking them? To my knowledge, yes, because you're going to have to suck all the nutrients out of them and get them soft enough. And the only way to do that is pressure cooking. You could do it in a crock pot, but it would take 12 to 14 hours or longer. Thank you. I hope you have an awesome day as well. Just waiting for this one more question. Okay, well, maybe not. So if you do have another question that I missed, feel free to send me a message on Instagram, and you're very welcome. And I will try to answer it at the beginning of the next question and answer. Oh, there it is. I'm working with a woman who has severe cancer right now, going through chemo, and consulted with Lisa herself. Any advice to appetite gain? So to get your appetite back, and she's going through cancer, my advice, what worked for me was variety. I had to use like the prime protein, make carnivore brownies, carnivore cinnamon rolls, carnivore ice cream, make it delicious, put salt, put seasonings on your food, put garlic with it, put butter on top. And that's super important. You just got to find what she really likes and make it healthy. That's what I would do. So Lisa, if she consulted with Lisa, I know Lisa is strict, no sweeteners, no sweet tasting things. I am not strict. I enjoy sweet tasting things, and I am not triggered by them to go eat the real thing, the real junk food. So that is really, really helpful for me to eat enough protein every day. I have a hard time eating my protein in just savory meat unless I'm at Fogo de Chao. Then it's easy. So I would absolutely recommend playing around with those sweeteners or just finding a way to make it more hyper palatable. I wouldn't recommend eating dairy if she's dealing with cancer, but I don't think that sweeteners would be a problem, especially allulose. Allulose would be a good option. I really wish her the very best. And cancer is absolutely curable. Now, I am not an expert on it, but some types are. I've worked with 2 people with brain tumors, and they have healed with the carnivore diet. So just tell your friend not to give up. Someone said, this has been so juicy. Going to go back and watch. Thank you, Rebecca. You are very welcome. I hope you guys have a wonderful, juicy Monday. Take care.